Tornado Talk. A very pleasant good evening to everyone tuning in. Here to talk all things Brevard College athletics. Here we'll have a few guests here tonight. Before we get going, let's take a look at our sponsors. We've got Arby's, Brevard Orth, BSN Sports, eGolf Ford of Brevard, Hampton Inn, Ingles, Jets Pizza, Pepsi, Salsaritas, Sully Steamers, Triangle Stop, and Young Transportation. Thank you once again to all of our sponsors. Let's get you caught up on all things Brevard College athletics over the last week. Men's lacrosse got their second victory of the season, first USA South Conference victory, 9-6 over the Avery University Cougars. Andrew McDonald, 4 goals, 2 assists. That brings him up to 25 on the season, a team-leading total. Nate Ellen as well, knocking in 3 goals. Both of those players were interviewed post-game, which you can catch on the Brevard College Athletics YouTube page. Jacob Gravely for the lacrosse team named USA South Defensive Player of the Week. The Monroe, North Carolina sophomore defender totaled 8 caused turnovers, 10 ground balls, and 1 assist this past week for the Tornadoes against USA South competition. Next up for the lacrosse team, they've got 2 games left. They head to Southern Virginia on Saturday, and then on April 30th, Senior Day against Piedmont here at Ives Lamel Family Field. Women's lacrosse lost a match over the weekend at Southern Virginia. Next up, tomorrow night at 6 p.m. here at Ives Lamel Family Field, the Ridge rivalry, similar to the Blue Ridge rivalry that the men's lacrosse team partook in earlier in the season, where they got their first victory of the season against Warren Wilson College. Like the Blue Ridge rivalry, the Ridge rivalry is also against the Owls, so we'll see what the women's lacrosse team can do in that one. And then against Methodists on Saturday at 11 a.m., Senior Day, also here at Ives Lamel Family Field for the women's lacrosse team here. Men's tennis winning 6-3 over Huntingdon. Singles wins by Ethan McGee, Bryce Burnett, Devin Horton, James Sirsich, and Hunter Williams. Women's tennis dropped their match to Huntingdon. Next up, both teams have Senior Day Tuesday, tomorrow at 3:30 versus Maryville at the McCoy Tennis Complex. So show up and show out for both tennis teams in their Senior Day. Climbing, Brevard College is at the USA Climbing National Championships. Good luck to the Tornadoes as they travel to Bridgeport, Pennsylvania for the National Championships to be held April 21st through the 24th. Brevard's Madison Altman, Caleb Trent, Kendrick Austin, and Dawson Jacobs all qualified for the National Championships. Track and field is coming off a successful weekend this past weekend at the Electric City Invite. Avery Lockwood, who will be on later in the show, broke her own women's shot put school record with a score of 11.29 meters in the shot put. Way to go, Avery. And the USA South Conference Track and Field Championships this Wednesday and Thursday in Berea, Kentucky. So be sure, if you know anyone on the track and field teams, to wish them your support as they head to the championship in Kentucky this week. Baseball dropped the first 2 games of a 3-game set at Huntingdon this past weekend. Game 3 of the series was postponed due to weather, and the makeup of that game is to be determined depending on how the standings are looking when it comes time to reschedule that one. Next home series for Brevard versus Berea this weekend at Gilcone Field, and then Senior Day Sunday, April 24th here, this coming up Sunday at Gilcone Field. Doubleheader on Saturday, 1 o'clock and 4 o'clock first pitch times, and first pitch on Sunday at 1 o'clock for Senior Day. Brevard College softball drop games to Piedmont and Berea. Next up, they have a game against Maryville, doubleheader Wednesday, 1 and 3 o'clock, and then they take on Wesleyan Saturday at 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock, and another doubleheader for Senior Day this Saturday. So speaking of the softball team, we have head softball coach Bree Shearin ready to pop in here. We will talk to Coach. And Coach, how's it going? How are you tonight?
Good. How are you, Brady?
I'm doing well. So you guys obviously not coming off the best week, but all in all, I would say from what I've seen, it's been a solid campaign for you guys. And obviously we're in the home stretch trying to win some more ball games. What have you seen from your team the last few weeks?
Yeah. So coming towards the end of the year, we've got a week left But some of the good things are like we have one of the highest batting averages in the conference. I think we're at top 2 right now. So we're hitting the ball really, really well. It's just sometimes it doesn't fall your way. And that's part of the game. Sometimes you hit the ball really hard and well, but there's a girl there. So that's kind of where we're at. We're hitting solid and getting on base and scoring people, but we're just struggling to kind of close the door. So we've got to work on that growth going into next year for sure.
Absolutely. Speaking of batting average, Emily White, who's going to be on later in the show, she, as of April 15th, leading all NCAA divisions in batting average, not just D3, D2, D1, D3, all of it. How big is that for your team, having that kind of big bomber in the lineup that you know is always going to be on, is always going to hit the ball hard and just do the right thing?
Emily is just a role model for so many of the underclassmen coming in. I think for a while she was leading before that, and we weren't even locked into it. We weren't really looking at numbers like that, and we kind of just we looked at it one night, me and my assistant coach Christy, and we were like, "Oh my gosh, like does she know this?" And then we started texting and talking around, and then Coach Christy actually looked at the Division 1 and 2, and we were like, "She's miles above them too." And so that was huge. It's huge for so many different reasons. I mean, even when we're just hitting, like I can see some of the underclassmen just watching her. Like, and I tell them all the time, like, watch Emily. Like, she does everything right. Even when we're breaking swings down, like she'll tell you there are times where she's like, "What am I doing wrong?" And I'm like, "Nothing. Like, just do everything that you're doing and keep doing it." And so it's been awesome to have her. I got lucky and inherited her when I took the job, so that was a huge win for me coming in. But Emily is definitely a name that Brevard's not going to forget.
Absolutely. So I want to go take it back a couple weeks ago. The Agnes Scott doubleheader, obviously an offensive explosion. I remember I was actually on the call for the first game, and you guys fell behind, took the lead, fell behind again, and then all of a sudden, from that point forward, the rest of the day, everybody in the lineup was hitting. What kind of boost does that give to team morale, having a weekend like that where it seems like nobody can miss the ball?
It definitely helped us going into a few other series after that. I believe it was Covenant right after that. We hit the ball again really well against Covenant. But we just made some key like mental errors, and that was what we had to focus on. But as far as the Agnes Scott game, that was a turning point for us. And we definitely broke some things down. I always say, we need to swing early in the count, early in the game, late in the count, late in the game. And so getting them to understand, swinging aggressively and when to kind of back off a little bit and wait for your specific pitch. And that was when it clicked. It just clicked for them as a whole, not just one person here, one person there. So when we finally had that conversation, I think it was like I told Phil, like it was like the third or fourth inning when they just started like explosively hitting. That was when we talked, and I said, just wait for yours. Like, we're behind now. So that's when we're going to wait and see our perfect pitch. And everybody got on board and was on the same page of the same book that day.
Absolutely. So you guys have Maryville coming up, and then you've got the doubleheader for Senior Day against Wesleyan. Can you kind of take a moment and speak on those two teams and those matchups?
Yeah, Maryville is a rival for us. They kind of feel like they are in almost every sport, but definitely for softball. So it's going to be a heavy day for everybody. We really want to play well against them. They're a good team. They're consistently a good team. They hit the ball well. They pitch well, but so do we. So it's going to be a good matchup. And then Wesleyan last year we took 2 from, which was exciting. So we're hoping to do the same thing, and it's Senior Day. So everybody's going to be kind of emotional at the beginning of the day. There's going to be a lot of people there. It's going to be a fun day. It's also sore. So we have some of the incoming recruits coming to that game. There's going to be a lot of people and action going on just everywhere around, even outside of the gates. So that's just going to be a fun one to come to if you can catch it.
100%. So speaking of Senior Day, can you take a minute and kind of talk on the impact that this year's seniors have had on the current team and what you think that they'll leave with the underclassmen and everyone that will be back next season?
I think that they're going to leave, like especially this group of 7 is going to leave loyalty and how big loyalty is for a team to be successful. I mean, they've gone through so many coaches. We've talked about it numerous times. And I think I'm their third coach in 4 years, which is just not normal for most college experiences. And that's not what you want. You want to commit to a school with the same coach and finish it out with them. But they haven't had that luxury. So they really are loyal to Brevard College outside of just athletics. And that bleeds into the team. So I think that that's something huge that they're going to leave with the underclassmen. Like they understand the loyalty part of the college and not even necessarily just the team. So that's huge. It's going to definitely be an emotional day. It's one of those, like our senior day is big. We make it a big deal for the softball program. There's a whole, ceremony that we do where they walk around the bases signifying their 4 years here. The 2 graduate kids are going to walk to first base to give them like their extra year that they had. And so it's a big ordeal. It's a big production that we kind of put on, and it's something that they have pride in and they're excited for. And I think the freshmen this year, seeing that whole ceremony, are definitely going to be like, I can't wait to have my senior day ceremony and get to do that with this team and this coach and this school. So
looking forward to it, Coach. So speaking of senior day, another senior that we're going to have on here is Taylor Hanna, who transferred over from Columbia College, and we're going to ask her a little bit about that in the transfer process. But that's another question that I had for you is when you have players not only buying in from inside the program, but you're able to bring in players that want to be a part of something from elsewhere, how big is that, and what does that mean as a program?
Yeah, so Taylor, her story is a little bit different and special just because she was with me at my last school. So she played for me for 2 years at my last college and then transferred with me in. So she got a little bit of consistency with me. However, I was a JUCO product. I played for 3 different colleges, so I understand the transfer process really well and those emotions that go with it. And so does she. So she's definitely a good one for our transfers coming in to talk to and kind of understanding how to blend in with the group of seniors that have been here for 4 years. And I know that the process was difficult. It was definitely emotional for her. It was a big decision. It was a lot of paperwork. It was a lot of long nights. It was a lot of trying to get in the right dorms and getting settled, especially right before season. So she has a lot more insight into what she went through. But as far as coaching goes, I was lucky that she came with me. And I am lucky that she ended up playing for me for 4 whole years. I got to see her grow as a senior in high school all the way through. So she was definitely a special one. But as far as the transfer process goes, it's exciting to have transfers, have her to talk to and understand the emotions that go with it.
Absolutely. That's an interesting note that I myself didn't know that she came with you, and I'm sure a lot of NATO Nation didn't know. So speaking of those 2, we've got them coming on right now, actually. And you already have given your thoughts on both of them, but just sort of some closing thoughts, something to leave with these 2 and kind of speak on their lasting impact here at Brevard.
Yeah, so this will be their last Tornado Talk as players, and so that's kind of sad to see, but it's also exciting. They've got 6 days, so this week is going to be a lot of fun for them to just kind of let loose. As far as Emily goes, everybody knows Emily White and knows how good she is, and she's an exciting player to watch. And Taylor's the same thing, especially catching. She talks really well with our pitchers, and they are both huge. They make a huge impact for us. So I'm excited for NATO Nation to talk to them more.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate you for joining us, Coach, and hope you have a great rest of your night and great rest of the season.
Yep. Thanks, Brady. Go Natos.
Yes, ma'am. Well, Emily, Taylor, welcome on to Tornado Talk. And Emily, I wanted to get started with you. So one thing me and Coach are talking about is as of April 15th, leading all divisions in batting average. I'm sure you've seen it at this point. But is that something that you even kept any kind of track on, or was it one of those things where they told you and you're like, oh, wow?
Yeah, it's really not something that I had my mindset on, but I live with one of my roommates came in my room and was just like, Emily, you're leading all of NCAA right now. And I was like, you're kidding. Like, there's no way. I was like, you're going to tell me that I'm hitting better than somebody from Oklahoma. So we had it out and we talked about it. And she was like, no, Emily, like, I'm serious. But going into each game, I just worry about, hitting the ball, doing what I can, doing what I know how to do. But it's not, it's just something to put Brevard College on the map.
No, I got you. I was sort of the same way when I saw the post. Obviously, I know you're a great player, I saw that and I thought just reading it for a second that it was D3 off first glance, and I saw the Oklahoma logo and I was like, hold on, she's leading all these other people too. That's insane.
Yep.
Like, you got a nation leader here at Brevard. Well, senior day obviously coming up for both of y'all. I'll start asking you a little bit. What is that going to be like as your tornado career comes to an end?
I think it's a little bit different for me. You know, I did have that extra year, whereas I did everything that they're doing. I did it last year. So, you know, the focus is on them. I was just lucky to get one more year. So that wasn't a COVID year. We had a full season. We played all of our games. So
Absolutely. So obviously with that batting average, you're not just going up there and swinging away. You've got a set approach and a set way that you do things, whether that's in the cage or on game day or anything like that. Can you speak on that a little bit and sort of, I guess, the routine and mindset that goes into your approach as a hitter?
well, aside from me taking my time on the tee, and I don't even know how to say it, I'm very superstitious. So everything I do is exactly the same. Like down to Coach Bree has to pitch to me. I have to have my bat a certain way. And it's just an approach. I get in the box and like, this is funny. Taylor's going to laugh. But yeah, so I say like I am Jocelyn Allo. Like I'm talking to myself while I'm in the box. It's just like gives me a mentality of a great hitter.
Awesome. Love to hear that. Taylor, we'll flip things over to you here. Obviously, you're a senior as well. I'll start off with the same question that I asked Emily. What does this senior day mean to you, and how does it feel as you look back, closing out your Brevard career and sort of reflecting on everything?
Hey, Brady, thanks for having me. It's kind of bittersweet. I never actually thought it would come. As a freshman, everybody was like, 4 years is going to come and go. And I was like, no, like 4 years is a long time, whatever, like you're lying, but it's come and gone pretty quick. The last year and a half at Brevard has been phenomenal. I couldn't imagine like all the long nights that Coach Bree was talking about during the transfer process. I would do it all over again in a heartbeat. So I keep telling my teammates, I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to cry. Like I don't cry in front of people, but I might cry because it's a big deal. Having my dad walk me around the bases after 4 years of him being my absolute rock, and then turning the corner to see Coach Bree after everything that we've been through in the last 4 years. I might cry, but I'm super thankful for the opportunities that I've been given and everything going into future after that.
100%. So I haven't had the opportunity to watch a ton of y'all's games this season, but I do. One of the games that I was at was a couple weekends ago against Agnes Scott. And one thing I noticed about the way that you go about your business behind the dish, there were times where it didn't even seem to, I guess, the casual fan like the pitcher was in that much trouble or that much of a jam, but you would kind of feel that maybe the tides were turning. You walk out to the mound, or the circle rather, walk out to the circle and have some words with the pitcher, and all of a sudden they turn things around. I noticed that multiple times. Do you have a certain feel for that, like when to go out there, or do you just take it game by game, or how is that for you?
It kind of depends on the pitcher. When our senior Farmer, Caitlin Farmer, is on the mound, I can kind of see it in her face. I can see it in her pitches when her movement pitches start to maybe fade a little too fat over the plate. I can start to see her. And so my goal with Farmer is just to make her laugh. When she's laughing and having a good time, she's throwing phenomenally. Abby Delp, a freshman, sometimes I can just see the teams getting to her. Like sometimes the cheers, they can rattle her and she gets rattled really quick, and then you can see it all over her face. So I try to just be like, hey, even if it's not working, fake it till you make it. Like we got to get through. Like you're so good. I tell them that all the time. Lindsay Toll comes in. She's been big for us this year, and I can just see it in her face too. She's grown a lot of confidence for us this year, coming in and helping. And so like when she starts to get down, I'm like, hey, you're fine. Like the pitches are working. Like, let's just keep going. So really just slowing momentum down. Coach Bree comes out to the circle. She's like, I'm just here to slow down the momentum. So I kind of just take it upon myself when I feel the waves turning, like you said, and just go out there and try and slow some things down and let them get back in their groove.
100%. Speaking of Coach, I told her I did not know that you followed her here. So with that, the transfer process and everything coming over from Columbia, can you talk about that for a minute, and just, I guess, the transfer process as a whole coming to Brevard from Columbia and coming with Coach Shearin?
Yeah, so I actually ended up at Columbia because I wanted to play for Bree. My dad put together a video and sent it to Bree, and funny enough, she didn't finish the video. She was looking for slappers. She saw that I was a slapper in the first 45 seconds of my video, and she said, I want that kid. And I went and I fell in love with the way that she coached and her assistant at the time. And I want to say I liked the program and everything, but I think I really just liked Coach Bree, because when it came down to it and Coach Bree said that she was taking a job at Brevard, I said, you need a catcher to go with you. And she was like, absolutely. So it was super awesome to be able to come. Like she said, there were really big decisions for me to make. I had a friend base back at Columbia that I didn't think I would be able to leave. And really that was the only thing holding me there. So I took the time, I talked with my dad, I talked with my mom, and I was like, I think this is what's best for me in my career. And Brevard had an outstanding exercise science program. So I was like, I can finish my career here. I can get my degree and do it all while playing under Coach Bree. She has been monumental in my career. The confidence that she's been able to give me, we joke about it all the time that she never says, good job, Taylor, but I wouldn't be the person I am today or the player without her. So it was an easy decision to make at the end of the day. The paperwork was hard and moving in was hard. Finding new friends was a little difficult if you know me as a person, but the friendships and relationships that I've built here, I wouldn't change for the world.
That's awesome. Sounds like it was a no-brainer. So before I let you guys go, one more thing. Aside from the senior day festivities, aside from, I guess, coming to the crossroads of you two's career, just a little bit on the actual matchup against these two teams, Maryville and Wesleyan.
I can go first. Maryville, like Coach Bree said, is a rival for us. We actually went to Maryville last year and we took one from them. And I don't think any of the USA South teams expected us to, but we went in hot and heavy and we hit the ball very well that game. And so they're probably going to come to our home field with a little bit of determination behind them. And I think if we can just hit the ball the way we have been the last couple games, we're going to be just fine. And if Farmer is throwing the sauce that she knows how to throw, then we'll be just fine. And if Abby comes in and any of our pitchers and just spin it the way they know how, then we're going to be golden. Same with Wesleyan.
Yeah, I think they're both really competitive organizations, but like Coach Bree and Taylor said, we've been hitting the ball better than we have all year. And it happened after Agnes Scott when we put up 30 runs on the board. And I feel like if we can do that against anybody, we can take a dub for sure.
Absolutely. Well, to finish it off, do you guys have any shout outs that you want to give to anybody, family, friends, whoever else? Emily, I'll let you start.
Yeah, just my entire family. I wouldn't be here without them. Coach Bree for sure.
Absolutely.
Coach Christie.
Yeah, just my parents, my mom and my dad, especially my dad, and Coach Bree, thanks for letting me be a NATO. I wouldn't be where I am without you. So go NATOs.
Well, Taylor, Emily, thanks for joining. Congratulations on 2 outstanding careers here for NATO Nation, and excited for you guys to see how it goes these next few games.
Thanks, Brady.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks, y'all. All right, next up, we have got head track and field coach Darryll Patrick coming on to the show. He should be on here in just a moment. And Coach Patrick, how's it going?
It's going well, man. How are you doing?
I am good. So you guys are coming off of a successful weekend at the Electric City Invite. I guess right off the bat, just talk about that and how that meet went.
Yeah, actually, it went way better than I thought it would. Just because, we have meets, 6 straight weeks, 6 straight weekends, and so it was our 5th meet, and we were kind of looking more forward to our conference meet, which is coming up. So we just kind of, did some things that athletes aren't necessarily used to in some events, and everyone performed really well. I think almost everybody either PR'd or had a season best again for like the second time this season. And I think we're just peaking at the right time. I can go over everybody in terms of how everyone did, but it's just so many. So it's just, it'd take pretty much a whole hour.
Yeah. I saw, just looking at a few things that I had seen, I saw the 4x4 team performed really well. And I actually happen to have, I believe, two of my teammates are on that relay team, if I am correct. Luis Alvarez and RJ Everett are both on that relay team, correct?
Yep.
So they had a good performance this weekend from what I saw. Can you talk a little bit about that group and their growth?
Yeah, absolutely. So those two, they hopped into the long jump this week for the first time. We only practiced like 2 or 3 times leading up to it, and they competed very well for themselves. Just off those 2 or 3 days of practice, and then they've each and every week they've improved. In some aspect, whether it be in the 100-meter, 200, 400, and so they're starting to really get their groove. And the 4x4 was very competitive in the heat that we were in, so that really got us really looking forward to conference coming up. We're seated like 3rd or 4th in the relay there, and I'm very excited to see that next step. Because 4x4 it's the last event, and they say it's the most exciting event, and anything can happen in a 4x4 relay, and so they, like I said, they just keep improving, and we'll see what happens.
I used to run the 4x4 in high school, so I can attest to that being the most exciting event, but also the event that you look forward to the least, because like you said, it's at the end. You've already, if you run other races, you're like, oh god, I still got to do this one.
Yeah, oh man, it's the best feeling when you walk around and you're like, hey, you're about to do the 4x4. Oh, what? Oh no, like that's just like the worst thing ever for them. But this group is really good. They do they want to do it all the time? No, but they don't really complain too much about it. They're actually really excited about this 4x4 coming up. So that is one of the best feelings, is like picking and choosing who's going to do it, and everyone's kind of on their toes, like, oh, I better have a good race so coach doesn't put me in it, kind of thing. But we'll see.
Absolutely. So can you talk a little bit about conference coming up and how you feel that you guys stack up? Maybe what events you guys feel most strong about, and then just overall what you are expecting to see from the different teams in conference at Berea this week.
Yeah, I think we're going to compete very well with the roster we have on both sides, men and women. I'll start with the women's side. I'm looking forward to seeing Avery Lockwood in the shot put. She just broke our school record over the weekend. She's starting to finally get her form down and really pushing through that. And she came up to me beginning of the meet last weekend. I was like, I'm going to break the school record. And I was like, all right, I like that energy. Let's keep it. So she's starting to get her swagger there. We got Channing Barker. Honestly, she can do it all. She can do any sprinting event. But we think 800's her main event right now. So we're looking forward for her to either get first or second in the 800. I think she'll be fresh compared to other competition there. So, and she always likes to like we call hawk people down. It's like if there's someone in front of her, she's like wanting to go get her. So, and there's a girl from Covenant who is like 4 or 5 seconds ahead. So that's something that she's going to strive for. So we'll see. I'm excited for that. Haley Lane Miller, she's a hurdler specialist for us. She's about half a second off our school record in the 400 hurdles. So hopefully she can, do well there. And she's, seeded number 1 by like 3 or 4 seconds. So no pressure or anything, but I feel very confident with her and that, and then she'll perform well in the 100 meter hurdles as well. Zoe Capps, distance runner. She's going to do both the 10K, 5K, which back-to-back days, that's going to be a lot, but she's a longer distance runner. She can run all day. So looking forward to see how she does. And then Katie LaCroix, her and Chang are both from the soccer team, and she loves distance running too. So looking to see how she does in the 5K. Then over to the men, Jerome Bass, he's a shot put specialist. He's getting better at the discus too, and looking to see him make more improvements, even though I feel very confident he'll win in shot put. No pressure again, but I feel very confident with him. And then with our distance runners, George Wells competing well in the 15 and 8. I want to see him, hopefully crack the top 5, top 3. We're going to try to win. That's how I am. That's how I try to teach my program, is strive for winning and live with the results. So as well as Dalton Hawley, he just ran an amazing 1500 last week out of nowhere. Was not expecting that much of a drop off. So I'm hoping he'd do well in the 15 and come back in the 5 and hopefully crack the top 5 there and run a very good time. So as well as Garrett Spangler also doing the 10K, 5K double, but God blessed him with longer distance. So he's going to, push through that. And I think he'll do very well. So, that's just to name a few. So I think at the end of the day, we'll have some top performances and we'll have some people crack and get some points for us. So definitely heading in the right direction from where we had this program 3 or 4 years ago. So can't be more excited. And the kids are very, very excited and looking forward to the opportunity.
100%. And one thing that I just wanted to ask you about, curious myself. So I am on the football team and I've been thinking about running track next season. I just wanted to hear your thoughts on dual sport athletes or athletes that come and use track as a sort of a training. Like I know that some of my teammates, like I said, Luis, Jerome, them are able to implement some of the stuff from track and the training from track and translate that over to the football field. So I guess what is your message and your stance to anybody that's sort of on the fence about that thing, whether it's football or any other sport?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing is, first thing people say, keeps you in shape, which that is true. If not, it makes you even in better shape. We work a lot on technique and mechanics, running mechanics, especially with the sprinters. And we're in the weight room a lot. We work on form there and get stronger. So, from that aspect, you definitely get in shape. But also to me, it's a good opportunity because, football, a lot of the, these team sports, like you can tell who's got the talent and whatnot, and who's like is a game changer, difference maker. On the track. Like you get to truly see your talent. You get to truly see if this person's fast or if this person can really chuck it, is really strong or powerful, can jump. So this is a time to like showcase your skill or skills. And, and still have that competitive edge while still being in a team type of atmosphere. Track is an individual sport. I really preach team, like everyone's together, you train together. Brevard's a smaller school where you're going to see everybody more than once a day. So, I really preach that, we're in this together while, being competitive individually. And so, like my message is, you're going to, work hard, stay in shape, I guess you can put, or you get in stronger shape. And then next thing you know, football is going to come around and you're going to be like, oh, this is cake.
Easy.
So, yeah. So then a lot of, professional football players still do track workouts in the off season. Tyreek Hill, any of those fast guys you see on the NFL level, like you see them doing track workouts during the off season. So it definitely is worth the benefit of that conditioning, and it will pay off in the long run.
Absolutely. Well, we've got both Jerome and Avery are coming on here, and I guess before we send you off, a couple of words about the two of them. Anything that you haven't already harped on?
Yeah, so I've been very, very happy and excited for these two. Jerome, we just started. He actually just joined the team like first week into our track season. So he just hopped in, second meet in, and just said, "Hey, I want to throw." So I was like, "Cool," And very first day, I was like, "Let's see what you got." No teaching, nothing. And he just chucked that thing. I was like, "Yep, all right, you're on the team." So it was a no brainer there. And then Avery, same thing. Like last year, she joined the team about midway through, and we waited until conference meet to throw, and next thing you know, she broke the school record. So these two are very highly talented athletes that again get to showcase their strengths. And so looking forward to seeing how they do this weekend.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for hopping on, Coach. Appreciate hearing some more about the track and field program here, and looking forward to see how conference goes for you.
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you for your time.
Yep. Thanks, Coach. Well, I'm sitting here with two dual sport athletes here at Brevard College, Jerome Bass and Avery Lockwood. Thanks for hopping on, guys. Welcome to Tornado Talk.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And Avery, I'll go ahead and start with you. So breaking your own school shot put record with 11.29 meters. I'm sure everyone today has seen it around the Brevard College social medias. But as Coach was saying, he said that you came up to him and told him that you were going to do that. So that was one of those things, I guess, you were speaking into existence. But I guess walk us through a little bit how you were feeling going into the meet. And I guess what made you so confident, aside from just the normal just self-belief, what made you so confident that you were going to set that record and break your own record?
Well, with y'all would know this too, with any game, you have the days where like, this is going to be a good game. Like you feel it in your bones. Like, it's just going to be good. And that's what I was feeling. It was an early morning and it was a long day, but I felt it in my bones that I was going to hit my PR, or I was going to go over my PR that day. And we had been working on my form a lot more that week, just because I kind of was late to the gun on the practice. I was recovering from basketball and I had some senior stuff going on and I wasn't there when they started practice. And so I had to break some bad habits just because I so desperately wanted to get a new PR and break that record again. But I had to be patient, and that patience paid off. I got it. And Jerome can tell you that when he said 11, I went wild. Everything just was like, yes, I did it. Okay, I'm good now.
So obviously, like I said, dual sport athlete on the women's basketball team, and I was lucky enough to have the pleasure of calling most of you guys' games this season. So I've seen what you can do. I've seen what the whole team can do, obviously. But what are some things that from throwing that you're able to translate onto the court, or maybe vice versa, things that you take from basketball in that team environment over to track? Either way.
So I'll start with from throwing to basketball because I threw last year. I noticed that I became more powerful with jumping, with my steps, and just more force because I had to lift heavier just to get stronger and to throw farther. So I definitely saw that on the court. And from basketball to track, I saw how I was communicating with my team. All of my teammates and myself included, we critique our forms. We help each other get better every day at track practice. So it was just I had that leadership and the communication skills from being on a team to translate over to track because it is a team effort to help each other get better.
Absolutely. Well, Jerome, I'm going to swing things over to you for a minute. Last week, the USA South Field Athlete of the Week out of Red Springs, North Carolina, at the Lenore Ryan Invitational. You had a throw of 26.2 meters in the shot put. That was good enough for third. And then also had a 14.91 as well. Or in the shot put, you had the 14.91, and in discus, you had the 26.2. So obviously, like Coach said, you were joining late. Did you feel at any sort of disadvantage when it came to that, or was it just go out there and throw?
I just try to be open to it, really, and just just dive in full and take the coaching and just try to get better. And I knew I was a little behind since I was starting so late, especially since this is my first year throwing. But to my advantage, I have great teammates like Avery and everyone who, like she said, critiques my throwing and just helps me get better.
So obviously, I get to see plenty of it being your teammate on the football field, but I guess I'll sort of touch off of what I went with Avery when it comes to the throwing or anything to do with being on the track and field team. What can you translate over onto the gridiron, and what can you take with you to what we do?
I think they pretty much go hand in hand considering I play D-line. So a lot of it is just being explosive and just, like she said, lifting heavy and just stuff like that.
So when it came to joining the track team, obviously, like I said, USA South Field Athlete of the Week, you've racked up plenty of accolades for the USA South on the football field. Did you just get – or were you not satisfied with one sport, or are you just going around collecting the infinity gauntlet of USA South awards, or what are we doing?
Never be satisfied, man. Always got to strive to get better. I mean, at this point, I'm just my senior year, try another sport. If I come back for a fifth year, I might do baseball or something. Who knows?
Mike can win USA South award in 3 different sports. So this is for both of you guys. I'll start with you, Jerome. How are you feeling heading into conference and where you stack up against some of these other schools' throwers?
I'm feeling confident, man, really, especially in shots. It's like that's my specialty. Discus, I've came a long way. I'm constantly getting better, so I think I have a chance to really put up a fight against these guys.
Avery, what about you?
Kind of the same. Shot, I'm confident that I can do it. Disc is really not my event. I try my hardest, but sometimes it just doesn't fly right. So I'm just going to give it my all, and hopefully I do well.
Understandable. So obviously we had Coach Patrick on here before you guys hopped in, and this is another one for both of you. I'll start with you, Avery, since we were just talking. But what does Coach Patrick bring for you guys? What does he provide, and how much does that mean having a coach like that who just believes in you guys and lets you go out and kind of let it all hang out?
It's really awesome. He does the best that he can. He's all over the place on the track because he's our only track and field coach, so he's everywhere. I see him running across the field to talk to his runners, and then running back to us to critique us. So he's done a lot for us. He's definitely given us drills to help us with the small things, and then he's helped us critique all of the big things. But it's for us, the throwers, it's a group effort. He does a lot for us, and we do a lot for each other.
Absolutely. What about you, Jerome?
I really have to applaud that man. I'm saying he's stretched thin with all of us because he's all over the place. It's really a blessing to have him coaching because he just brings like another level, like enthusiasm, and he's always positive and always keeps us up, even when we're down ourselves. He knows exactly what to say, when to say it.
100%. Well, before I let you guys go, I'm going to give you both the chance to give any shout outs that you may want to give out, whether it's family, friends, coaches, or anything else. Avery, you can start us off.
I got to kind of shout out Stephanie Johnson just because she was the one who was like, Avery, you should throw. If she didn't say that, I probably wouldn't have thrown. So thanks. Thank you, Stephanie. And then I got to thank my parents. They've been very proud of me during this whole entire thing because I wasn't a dual sport athlete in high school, but now I am. And they've seen how far I've grown. And then I got to thank my teammates on both teams. They've supported me throughout this entire thing, and it means a lot. I feel their support in everything that I do.
Absolutely. What about you, Jerome?
I just want to shout out all my friends and family who's constantly supporting me. My mom, my dad, all my coaches like Coach Easter, Coach Lindsay, everyone who's constantly there. And then, to the mob.
Absolutely. Well, guys, Avery, Rome, thanks for hopping on. Appreciate y'all, and looking forward to see what you guys can get done at conference.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me.
Thank
All
you.
right, y'all. Now hopping on, we're going to have one of my mentors and a guy that's been really instrumental in me getting to where I'm at when it comes to sports broadcasting and all of that here with BC Athletics. Phil DeMontmallon, the assistant AD for communications, and Phil's in a different room than me now. He was in here with me when we started, but we've got Phil in the other room now with me. What's up, Phil?
Hey, Brady. Great job tonight. Good to be on here with you.
Appreciate it. Likewise.
Well, I wanted to take a little time and let NATO Nation we can reverse roles a little bit for you here tonight, Brady, and let NATO Nation get to know you a bit. Football student athlete here at Brevard College, a defensive back sophomore out of Loganville, Georgia, but also pursuing this career in broadcasting. And you approached me, at the beginning of the academic year with this idea of, hey, can I get involved somehow?
Mm-hmm.
And you have taken the ball and run with it and have done an outstanding job for us across a variety of sports. But would love to hear from you, kind of how that idea came to be. Here you are, a football student athlete at Brevard College, and you decided, hey, let me take on broadcasting as well. Tell us where that seed was planted and where it went from there.
Well, absolutely. My parents will tell you that I've been doing it for a long time. I just haven't been getting paid. I used to be playing on the Xbox as a little kid, playing MLB or playing Madden, mute the actual commentators on the video game and just start commentating myself. And for whatever reason, it's just been always something that I've been drawn to. Like, some people think it might be like a trivial thing when you're watching a game. Oh, who's on the call? But for me, that kind of is part of the experience. Like, there's certain announcers in a sport that I don't like listening to for a game, or certain announcers that I do like and I look up to. And it's honestly just always been a point of interest for me. And as I've gotten older and thought more about that, it's like, oh, well, if I could get a job doing that, if I could be good at it and get a job doing it, like who wouldn't want to get paid to watch sports from a nice seat? Like what? But yeah, I remember in the fall, I remember when I worked work study last year at a few different games, just kind of watched you and the way that you went about it, and also saw how many sports you have to juggle on your own. So if nothing else, I was like, oh, well, I'm sure that he could get a little bit of his load brought down, you know? So I obviously couldn't do football, but I was like, I'm going to just approach him and see what about baseball? Because I'm a big baseball guy. And then I remember you called me in and asked me if there was any other sports I knew how to do. So I can do basketball and I can do softball. And then all of a sudden, a few months into this journey, and I'm picking up new skills. And I had to do lacrosse now and a few other things like that.
Outstanding. And, you know, you set me up perfectly to be able to shout out our staff here in the communications department, Joseph Marvin and Abby Party. You know, can't do it without them. And,
Absolutely.
you know, all the other students who help out behind the scenes as well. You know, it takes a lot to put on these productions. And you've been a big part of that, Brady, no doubt. So now that you've gotten your feet wet and you've, experienced some play-by-play, you know, tell the audience what has been the biggest challenge as far as being a play-by-play announcer in real time, and what's been the most fun part of it?
Honestly, I would say when it comes to that sort of thing, there's so many things that you don't think about when you're just kind of taking it at face value. You're just announcing, talking about the game. There's so many things that, we would talk after basketball games, so many things that you just don't even realize or think about, or like, I'd say the most challenging thing for me is just at the beginning of games, not because I'll always be familiar with the Brevard roster, but it'll take me a minute, whether it's basketball or lacrosse or whoever else, looking at the other team's roster and starting to kind of draw numbers to names and having to, look down, especially in lacrosse. I try to get a feel for it before the game and try and match numbers up, but it takes a few minutes of watching and having to, and that one's passed to so-and-so, and he goes over to so-and-so, and it's harder in the faster-moving sports like basketball and lacrosse as opposed to baseball, where you got 30-second to a minute break in between every pitch. You can look down pretty easily. But in the fast-moving, I'm always thinking when I have to look down for a name, let me get this name out before they pass the ball to somebody else. And then my favorite part is honestly just whenever we're in a tight game, doesn't matter what sport, and we've got fans there getting into it, because that's obviously, as both an athlete and as a commentator, that's something that you look forward to, is just like having the crowd being a part of it and bringing that energy. I would have to say, pointing to my favorite specific experience, it would have to be the playoff game against Maryville, the women's basketball team. That was just such an electric atmosphere. The first home playoff game for the program. We had a bunch of my teammates there repping the blue, repping NATO Nation, and obviously it was an exciting win, and just honestly one of the biggest moments probably in program history. If not the biggest, it's definitely up there. And so that was just amazing to be a part of and be able to be on the call for that one.
Yeah, no doubt. That was a big moment, and, able to take it all the way through the post-game interviews with a couple of the stars of the game, as well as Coach Donald Hudson. And so great, Brady. Do want to take a moment to kind of just review where we're at. We're in the home stretch of the season here at Brevard College. Just a couple weeks left in the school year, and you've been promoting senior days throughout the Tornado Talk this evening and so forth, but want to kind of reflect back as well. You mentioned that women's basketball big win at the Bosch, but there's been some great moments this year, and if I can just go through a few here with our audience, Brady. First, back to the fall sports, men's and women's soccer, both qualifying for the postseason. Once again, volleyball qualifying for the postseason for the first time in several years. So kind of a breakthrough season for the Tornadoes in the sport of volleyball. Cross country sent several runners to the USA South Conference Championships. Football, your team, Brady, had some big moments, including a big homecoming win. Let's focus on football for just a sec, since it is your sport. What's the one big moment, when you think back to last fall, as far as the one that kind of you'll really remember as, hey, this was it. This is when we were feeling our best.
People might actually think it's weird. It was actually, I think, the moment that sticks with me from last fall the most, and the biggest one to me, was actually in a game that we lost. It was against Apprentice, our first home game that we ended up losing in overtime. But there was two main things. Jerome, who we had on here just a few minutes ago, had the game we seemed dead to rights. Like the game, only a few minutes left, and we didn't score on offense. We're on defense, and all of a sudden it seems like all is lost. And all of a sudden, quarterback goes to throw off a little dump-off pass, and Jerome comes across, intercepts it, and takes it all the way, looking like a wide receiver with his speed. And so that was one thing that really got us going and kind of got us headed on the right foot to me. And then the way after that, we had Eli, Carr, and the offense, had them lead a drive to go down the field and send us to overtime. And it was sort of just the way that we came together. Obviously, we didn't end up getting the result that we wanted, but the way that we came together in that game was really special to me. And it kind of just showed that even when things aren't looking good for us, and like I said, are kind of dead to rights, we're never really out of it. Especially a lot of that is attributed to our coaching staff. Like, we have amazing coaches, Coach Kyatt, Coach Nelson, everybody else, Coach Bayless. It's a phenomenal staff, and they kind of help us stay grounded and stay glued together. But if I did have to pick one from a victory, I would say that the most satisfying was definitely either Avery or Maryville, but my personal favorite would be Maryville, because we just went out there, dominated every asset of the game, offense, defense, special teams. I believe it was a 31-0 final score against Maryville, which, beating Maryville in different sports, nothing new to the NATOs, but 31-0 victory at home. It was a really fun game, and it was fun to watch everybody coming together and playing really well.
Yeah, amazing environment, that game and that weekend. It was, really kind of what college sports and homecomings are all about. And you all came through with the big win on the field. You mentioned Coach Kyatt. Hey, folks, after Tornado Talk, if you want to turn on your television, go to Fox Sports 1. The Pittsburgh Maulers of the USFL are playing. Coach Kyatt has, a little side gig this spring with a USFL team. He's the tight ends coach and part of that coaching staff. So check that out if you want to check Coach Kyatt on the professional side of things this spring. And certainly, having touched base with him, he's doing everything he can to prepare for the fall as well for Brevard College Tornadoes football. Now, keeping going with our season here, Brady, the mountain bike team, everybody knows Brevard College, known for its cycling program, 10-time national champions. Well, they, showed out big time again this year, this past fall in Durango, Colorado. Actually, a trip I was fortunate enough to go with the squad to. A total of 5 individual national championships. And there's not many more events than that, let me tell you, between Tornadoes, cyclists. Tyler Orschel, senior, won the individual Omnium for the best varsity collegiate cyclists across the country. What's interesting is the 3 cyclists who won the U.S. Cycling Collegiate National Championships are all from Canada. So kind of a interesting twist there. The team finished 3rd in the country, top in the eastern half of the United States, top finishing school. And then to cyclocross, which was a couple months later, another key discipline for the Tornadoes. Orschel won the individual national championship again, bringing the total to 6 individual national championships for the Tornadoes this season. That brings us to the winter sports. You mentioned women's basketball, a historic year for them, making it to the postseason and winning that postseason game. They had a huge one where their Bosch was rocking to clinch the postseason. And then, the NATO Nation came out again for that postseason game and that win over Maryville. Just a lot of excitement around the women's basketball team and the men's basketball team. Some big moments there as well. Also qualifying for the postseason, which was big. You know, that they had a big road win at Piedmont down the stretch that made that happen. And then earlier in the season, there was a matchup that I know called, Brady, and then you had LB Boyette join you, a double overtime win. Yeah, so some big moments there and some great memories from men's and women's basketball, as well as all the fall sports. And that brings us to the spring sports. We've got senior days this week as we, really tip our hats to some incredible careers across Brevard College athletics. That actually starts tomorrow if you want to head on out to the McCoy Tennis Complex. Tuesday, that's tomorrow, 3:30 p.m., men's and women's tennis senior day. Those two teams are both in contention for postseason play, so keep an eye on Tornadoes Tennis. And if you want to join us for the senior day ceremony, it'll be just before the first serve at 3:30 p.m. There's also a big women's lacrosse game, Brady, that I know you're looking forward to tomorrow night.
Oh, yep, the Bridge rivalry.
That's right.
Trying to take both of those trophies from Warren Wilson.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I know you called the Blue Ridge rivalry, which is the men's lacrosse version of that rivalry. Tell us about that experience that night.
Well, that was my first time not only calling a lacrosse game, that was my first time ever watching a lacrosse game, just sitting down and watching a game. Like, obviously, I'll be at a restaurant and like pay attention for a couple minutes maybe, but I didn't know anything about the workings or the rules of lacrosse. And I had remembered you had wanted me to try lacrosse for a little bit, so it was pretty daunting to me. And I just remember my preparation wasn't the most extensive. I watched a little bit of a couple college lacrosse games on ESPN, and I Googled some lacrosse rules and terms, and was pretty sure that I had it down enough. Got up to the booth, and was just kind of double checking on some things, and we hit the ground running, and it wasn't that bad. It kind of flowed, I felt like, and then it was on top of that, we were able to get the win and get the trophy. Got to do some post-game interviews, so it was a nice first experience calling a lacrosse game. It was new, but it was fun.
Yeah, big moment for the team that night, and that celebration with the trophy. A little video of that kind of went viral after that game with JD LeMay getting the win with his team.
I remember that.
We mentioned men's lacrosse. Women's lacrosse has had some big moments as well. They're fighting for a spot in USA South Conference postseason as well. They will have their senior day this Saturday. That's an 11 a.m. start for the women's lacrosse team on Saturday, senior day ceremony before that. So be sure to come on out early, have brunch with the Tornadoes at Ives Lamel Family Field. And then on Saturday, I know you talked to Coach Bree Shearin about the softball senior day. That's coming up as well. And then a big baseball series this weekend with the baseball senior day on Sunday, game 3 of the series. And then men's lacrosse senior day will be next week on April the 30th. So that's all happening. Track and field is at the USA South Conference Championships this week, and also climbing heading to the national championships. Hey, it never slows down here around Brevard College Tornado Athletics. And Brady, it's been great to have you as a big part of us, bringing the fans all the action. Before we let you go, kind of final thoughts on the total experience, and what are you looking forward to? As a broadcaster, what are you looking for next? And tell us a little bit about your goals and your hopes for next year.
Yeah, it's been awesome. One thing that I wanted to say is the season that we had for the men's and basketball teams. Those two specific teams from this season are always going to be near and dear to my heart. Just knowing it was kind of the first go round, and to an extent, as a broadcaster, especially for me, like I said, being in my first run at it, you feel sort of like connected to the teams. You kind of feel like you're a part of the season, and you're sort of going through the journey with them. Like, I know when the season came to an end for both these teams, it was super upsetting for me too. Like, 'cause you don't want it to end, and especially it wasn't upsetting, but it was bittersweet after the Maryville game, knowing that was the last time we were going to see that squad in the Bosch, and obviously great players playing their last games like Destiny, Shakira Thompson, a few others. It's just knowing what they've done for the program. But all in all, for my broadcasting goals, honestly, we'll see where the future takes me. But for now, I just want to ride the wave and keep helping out here, keep doing games here at Brevard College until, whether in 3 years or 4 years, depending on if I use my 5th year or not, in 3 years or 4 years, go from there. And I know you've told me the more variety I can have with what I do, the more likelihood to get a good gig doing this announcing. And that's what I'm hoping getting this experience and this sort of wide range of sports will bring. But yeah, I'm just excited for more opportunities. I know that there have been some things non-broadcasting that me and you have talked about bringing to Brevard next year in the fall. And I know I talked to you about maybe trying to do some play-by-play for Brevard high school football, since I obviously can't do Brevard college football, but I would like to have some experience calling football games. But yeah, just I guess in a word, just excited, looking forward to the rest of the future here, because this is only the beginning.
Outstanding, and do want to get the word out there to the Brevard College student body. The more students we can get involved in the broadcasting operation, just the better we'll look and sound. And also, you too can start a career in sports broadcasting, whether it's on the microphone or behind the scenes. Just be sure to say what's up to Brady or myself or to Joseph, and let us know that you're interested, and we'll get you involved here at Brevard College. A real cool opportunity on the Division III level. You're not able to do this at every college without a doubt, but to have students involved, it's a real plus here at Brevard College.
Absolutely, no doubt. If that's something that interests you and you're like me and you've been announcing your video games since you were 8 years old, go ahead and hit me up.
There you go, Brady. Well, hey, great job. Really looking forward to working with you plenty more. And great job these last couple of weeks on Tornado Talk as well. It's a whole other skill as far as hosting talk shows, and you've done an excellent job here. So with that, Brady, I'll let you take us out here on this edition of Tornado Talk. All yours, man.
I really appreciate it, Phil. Thanks. So that'll be it for all we've got for Tornado Talk tonight. It was nice having all the guests on and hearing what's going on in some of these sports around campus here. Be sure to follow Brevard's social media. As you can see down there at the bottom, we've got the social media crawl. I want to thank all the viewers for tuning in, everyone interested in what's going on Brevard College athletics. Be sure, once again, follow the social medias if you want to keep up and stay up to date with everything going on. You can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We've got it all. And I want to thank my producer, Joseph Marvin, for helping this go smoothly and everything else that he helps us with on a day-to-day basis. Same with Phil. I want to thank him for joining and sort of flipping roles with me for a minute. He's done a lot for me and been a really big asset for the beginning of my career and a big mentor for me. So I want to thank both those guys. And with that being said, that'll be all for tonight. Y'all have a great rest of your week, and go Tornado.